Jacobs, even though he just lost his last fight, he still fits into the mix also.
Certainly, indeed. Now, let's go to fights that are going to happen this coming weekend. Let's start with the Showtime card. Rafael Marquez versus Juan Manuel Lopez. This is Rafael Marquez. I guess he is still a pound-for-pound fighter. He's 35 years old. He's not exactly young, and he's a little guy. So we know that when little guys get older, you know, things happen.
He's been through some wars.
He's been through three wars, and then his last fight was the fourth one versus Vasquez. Vasquez, as we both know, heart of a warrior, but didn't have a lot left. He got caught, and that was it. How much do you think Marquez has left?
Good question. Marquez has only fought his last two fights. He's only had two, fights in the past 2.5 years, and both of them they didn't really show much of how much he has left. He fought a completely shot Israel Vasquez and stopped him, and stopped a journeyman opponent before that. Both fights only lasted 3 rounds, so we don't know really how much he has left. He looked sharp in both of those fights, but at the same time he wasn't pushed, so we don't know. He had those majorly taxing fights with Israel Vasquez in that trilogy, and amazing with the 3 fights he had before the 4th one. He had 2 very competitive fights with Mark Johnson, also had 2 very competitive fights with Silence Mabuza. This is a guy that's been around. So Juan Manuel Lopez was going to show everyone how much he has left. Either Marquez will rise to the occasion and have a riveting fight, or he's going to be blown out. And that's what makes it so fascinating.
What do you expect from JuanMa?
What you see is what you get with JuanMa Lopez. He's always going to come very prepared, very focused. He's one of the rising stars in boxing, explosive, beautiful combination fighter, great power. It looks like he's really starting to come together with the complete package. Now as a featherweight, he's looking extremely impressive. The way he knocked out the very capable Steven Lavueno, and he also knocked out the very tough Bernabe Concepcion in his last fight, which was a barn burner. The first round was, fight of the year candidate. So this is the next step up for him, a former champion looking to get back on the rise. And, maybe a little past his edge as Marquez is, so this will be a good gauge to see where Juan Manuel Lopez is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked Juan Manuel Lopez. I'm surprised that he had so much trouble with Rogers Matagua, who is a very limited guy, a decent fighter, always, looking for a fight, but very limited guy. Maybe it was the weight, because afterward...
I think that's what it was, yeah. It was a very, he was weight trained. You can see it during the fight at the weigh-in. He looked a little, out of it, a little down, a little gaunt. And Matagua was a very durable guy, except when he's fighting Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Right.
And Matagua wasn't going to be denied that night. He took some hellacious shots in the beginning of the fight, took more of a pounding in the middle, and Lopez shot his load. And that's one thing about Lopez, that when he gets you in trouble, he throws a lot of punches. And if you stand there, like any other person, you'll get tired. And that's what happened to Lopez in that fight. He got very tired, and Matagua was able to take all the punishment and not wither. And that's what pushed Lopez to the brink that night.
Yeah, very, very curious to see what happens in that fight. Also, on the undercard of that Showtime card, well, not the undercard, actually the co-feature, I guess, you've got Alan Green versus Glen Johnson, which is
Super Six.
The Super Six tournament. What's your take on this? What's your take on this fight? I mean, what do you think Alan Green's going to bring to the table?
This is Alan Green's last shot, and completely, I think. I mean, he's had multiple opportunities. He had a shot against Edison Miranda. He blew that. He had the shot, another shot against Andre Ward, and he blew that opportunity too. So this is his last time at the big stage, and he's talking a big game. Alan Green's always talked a big game and said what he's going to do, but he's never really delivered until he fought Jadon Carter. And this will be a good gauge to see. He's fighting Glen Johnson, who is a little over the hill, but still very viable, still very dangerous. And if Green can put it all together, he does have the talent. We've seen him be explosive, but there's always a little something with him that makes him pull back, and he doesn't give his full ability when the time needs to be. Right. So we're going to see today, because Glen Johnson is going to push him that Saturday.
Yeah, and I saw the Boxing 360 show on Showtime, and I saw that Glen Johnson looks in decent shape, and I think and I hope the fans do actually give Glen Johnson a chance and actually get to experience him before he retires, because he's been around for a long time. He's fought.
He's fought everybody.
He's fought Hopkins. He's fought Roy Jones.
He's Van Ottke.
Tarver. All the guys. And he's a guy that I have immense respect for.
Yeah.
He's always ready to fight. They call him the Road Warrior because he's willing to travel anywhere, fight anybody, and he's also one of the classiest guys in boxing, which is also they call him the Gentleman. And so I hope that people get to catch the fight, get to watch Glen Johnson in action, and get to appreciate the kind of fighter he is. He's not. I wouldn't say he does one thing really well, but he's just he does a lot of things okay, and he's always looking to fight. And
He's the consummate pro that's always going to bring it.
And he doesn't make excuses. I mean, even
Right,
when he looked overweight versus Tavoris Cloud, he yoked Cloud up a couple of times and looked like he had Cloud on the edge.
He did.
You know, and that was that.
Well,
was
that's
a
what
good
Glen
fight.
Johnson does. He had Chad Dawson on the edge in their first fight. He pushed Antonio Tarver to the limit in both of theirs. He knocked out Roy Jones Jr. And with the exception of Bernard Hopkins in a couple of his earlier fights, he always had a very questionable decision go against him.
Right.
So Glen Johnson's going to bring his A game, and he's going to come to fight, and he knows this might be his last opportunity also. That's why he's dropped down to the super middleweight division. He's not going to pass up this opportunity, and we're going to see if Alan Green can step up this time too and finally live up to the promise that everyone bestowed on him when he first broke onto the scene.